The NBA playoffs. It was the comeback of the century. Pacers-Knicks, game one at the Garden. New York controlling it. It's a 17-point advantage. Just over a minute left. Pacers have cut it to 7. But Jalen, and they weren't guarding him carefully enough. Pacers cut
right here.
Just
right, dribble it out. Right, dribble it out.
Critical moment here. Pascal Siakam called for a foul. Rick Carlisle had saved his challenge for a critical moment, and it comes up huge. They overturn the call. Indiana gets it back. Now we're going the other way. Coach, how does Nesmith get another look?
I mean, it's a little bit lack of discipline there defensively, but you got to understand where the hot hand is.
Just an extraordinarily dramatic shot to send it to overtime.
On the 20-year reunion of Reggie Miller scoring 8 points in 8.5 seconds, the fact that he was able to make that shot to send it into overtime, iconic for the Pacers organization.
Watch the fans in the baseline. Just watch them all. The reaction. We've seen this movie before. We hate this movie.
Again, in the moment you thought it was a game-winning 3. The toe is on the line. I have bad news for you, by the way, Jay. It's the 30-year anniversary.
30 years.
That's how old we're all getting. One way or another. To overtime it goes. A minute and a half left in the overtime. Pacers down by 1. Haliburton had 31. He was so good in this game. Pacers take a 1-point lead. Brunson made 2 free throws. So the Pacers are down by 1. Former Nick Obi Toppin with the extraordinary putback. Pacers up by 1, 20 seconds left. Knicks down by 1. They turn it over right in front of Timothy Chalamet. Chalamet is trying to get a timeout called.
Now, no, Chalamet, don't get a timeout. What are you doing?
He's not a complete unknown there.
As it turns out, the Pacers actually get it back on the overturn, and it's Toppin again. Cutting to the hole and throwing it down. A lot of contact, no call. Pacers a 3-point lead, so 12 seconds left, Monica. Knicks drawing up a play. They need the 3. Where do we go for the bucket?
You're going to Jalen Brunson. He's leading the postseason in clutch scoring with 43 points, so you go to your clutch guy.
Great defense.
Gets the step back. It's not there, but here's the opportunity.
This is the one.
Karl Anthony Towns had the good look, and then we got a scrum, and we got a clock, and we got a ball game. Pacers win it 138-135. Here was Haliburton after the game.
I'm like, it's going in. You know, it just felt like it got stuck up there, though, you know. And honestly, when it, went in, I thought my eyes might have been deceiving me in the moment. But it felt good when it left my hand. If I would have known it was a 2, I would not have done it. So I think I might have wasted it. If I do it again, then people might say I'm like aura farming. So I'm not. I don't plan on using it again.
He's talking about the choke gesture that he made there again prematurely, but they get the win. And so I know that I am at times prone to hyperbole. But when I say that this was the comeback of the century, it is quite literally true. No team, as long as we've been tracking this, and that goes back to 1998, had ever come back from 9 or more down in the final minute in the playoffs. They had been 0-1,414. Jay, what is the first signature we put on this game?
It's one of the biggest choke jobs you've seen in NBA playoff history. And I hate that word, so I'll use another term, psychological unraveling, right? That's really what it is. I mean, it's
a dress it up.
It's a serious. That's a good dress up.
Keep it simple. Stick with
put some lipstick on it. I mean, but it was a series of mistakes down the stretch. That cumulative effect. That's the psychological exhaustion that you felt defensively that they were witnessing in real time.
Well, it's funny,
Monica. Because every time I say something,
look, your notes say choke. Just stick with the word.
It's that choke job right there.
Psychological unraveling.
Same thing.
But here's
the different grease.
2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, we're sitting in the same spot, and we're talking about the Knicks coming from all these points behind to beat the Celtics, and we were asking the question, did the Knicks win that game or the Celtics lose it? And the answer is yes. Because for a comeback like this to take place, in both cases it has to be true. Aaron Nesmith has to have one of the most ridiculous fourth quarters. First player in history to hit 6 threes in the fourth quarter of a playoff game. Haliburton has to make that unbelievable shot. But the Knicks have to make mistakes along the way to allow them to get back in it.
Yeah, I mean, free throws are going to kill you, right? In those situations, you cut the game down. Turnovers kill you. When you're in those situations, you got to get a shot on goal, and you got to get a quality shot on goal. There were a couple of shots that you go back and look during that stretch, and you're like, we wish we could have got that one back. So shot selection, free throws, turnovers down the stretch of games like that, they bite you in the
face. Yeah, and on that shot selection, JV, in particular, there was a stretch. The Knicks did go on that 14-point run without Jalen Brunson, but there's a stretch when he comes back in the fourth quarter with 5 minutes to go. I'd say about from maybe 6 minutes or so to about 4:30 or 3:30. they took shots too quickly, right? They didn't need to play you can shoot, I can shoot versus the Indiana Pacers. In your head, you're thinking, this is a team that gets out fast. They've had these monster comebacks in the previous series. This is time and score for quality and deliberate decisions. And I thought the Knicks, that was a costly strategy.
They fall into the trap.
Yeah, that's what you're thinking is that they just started speeding up. Look, the last game played at Madison Square Garden, Game 6, the NYPD had to call for a level 4 mobilization. They needed help out on 7th Avenue because they were celebrating. What they needed to do at the end of this game was call the FDNY because that was that's one of those signal 3 because somebody had to put the fire out. Once you saw Nesmith hit a couple of threes, somebody had to say he's not making another one. The Knicks defensively somehow did not recognize there was one hot hand, and he turned the game around in 1 minute.
I'm interested in that. You were telling us earlier, Alan, that in your vantage point, as you're working these games, you were right by the Pacer bench, and that his eyes looked like saucers.
He kept turning to his bench, and he had this look on his face like he couldn't believe how hot he was.
So, as a coach, J.B. Bickerstaff, I mean, what are you saying to your players when this guy is knocking down shot after shot? I guess there probably are a lot of fans wondering, how does he get any looks at all once he gets that hot?
Well, I think because he is more what they would call a role player, they put the focus still on Haliburton because he's been the guy. Right. There's a couple clips you'll see during the game here where they're full court pressing Haliburton in the backcourt, and he's playing one-on-one on the backside. He gets a screen, he comes up with a wide open shot. So it's one of those things where game adjustment, exactly. You have to recognize in the moment that this guy is on fire, right? And we got to do whatever we can to blanket him, deny him, and it's no longer a one-person job. Somebody else is going to have to beat us.
Well, I will say, when he made his 4th, 5th, and 6th three, OG Anunoby was horrible defensively. I mean, he was horrible. I mean, you have to have a level of attention. You talk about playing up in the gaps, JB. If you're big and you know that they're going to do a ton of drag screens and transition and a lot of movement, you have to be up in a defensive stance and alert and on your toes. And OJ was caught flat-footed multiple times, where his reaction time was extremely poor.
Isn't the attitude, especially when you're a defensive player, is to say, okay, I got him. This is over. We're turning the water off now. And it never happened. It never happened.
You get a lot of random big ball screens that sometimes the guard, you may not see that. Like Josh Hart got caught multiple times. That's where you need your other big defensively to be alert and be like, I got it, I can recover. At least Mitchell Robinson at least got a hand up in the last one.
And so
the tough shot by Hallie.
The part that makes that particularly frustrating is you saw the Knicks do that when they had to versus the Boston Celtics. Yes, a different team, but we have seen what it looks like when this team is deliberate and communicating on defense. In that moment in a game 1, I'm personally still stuck on the free throws, but to your point, you have the capability to defend far better because.
And once again, recognize that the Pacers, this is what they do. Like, they aren't getting as much attention as what the Knicks did against Boston, but in this playoffs, this is what Indiana does. No one should be surprised.
And it's just surprising because the Knicks have guys that are elite individual defenders, right? If you're in a situation one-on-one and you need to get a stop, OG's a guy that you'll put on the floor and say, hey, man, go get this stop for us. So it was a little surprising how they finished and closed out that game, and I know they're reeling from it today.
So I asked you earlier this morning, if you were Tom Thibodeau, what are you saying? If you're Rick Carlisle, what are you saying to your team this morning?
We can be better. You go back and watch that game, and they were dominated in the gritty things, in the toughness areas, the offensive rebounds that they were giving up, the loose balls that they were giving up. They allowed the Knicks to score very easily. They didn't put up much of a stand defensively, so there's a lot of room for them to improve defensively in particular to make the game a little bit more difficult. Giving Brunson 43, Towns 35, so there's some adjustments that they can make to be better.
2 points in the paint.
A lot of times, like when you end up going to the club, I definitely felt this way younger time in my life, right?
For a psychological unraveling at the club?
No, I've had a couple of those, but it's not a conversation for morning television, okay?
The club was also 30 years ago, Jay, just to throw it out there.
But like a lot of times you would see like the VIP, you're like, oh man, like I wonder who's in there. I really feel like we're watching Tyrese Haliburton walk into the VIP room with all the elites. He's always been an elite, but he's had elite moments in these playoff series, whether it's the layup in playoff versus the Milwaukee Bucks in round 1, whether it's the 3 he made against Cleveland in round 2, and now another monumental moment on Broadway in Madison Square Garden on the 30-year reunion of the Reggie Miller shot. Like, he's had some critical moments.
More sneaky.
I'm taking everything away from him.
No. He has been terrific. He's on his way to superstar status, elite status, but I actually think those wing guys don't get the credit that they deserve.
Makes the job easy.
Even in New York, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges are going to stop Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. Okay, check. Aaron Nesmith just had the game of his night and the game of his life. And then when you look at the supporting cast around Tyrese Haliburton, I think part of that is the two sides of the coin in terms of why he is or isn't getting the credit that you believe that he deserves.
And I think also, too, is like it's a keen eye to watch what he does, right? He overwhelms teams with nuance.
Yeah.
It's not shoot the ball, shoot the ball, shoot the ball, shoot the ball. It's like, okay, these are the small plays that need to be made and impact winning, and he makes those plays over and over again.
Dribble.